All right, man. So as we move on to the Cavs, we got more breaking news. The Cleveland Cavaliers are fully guaranteeing for Cedi Osman, $6.7 million contract for the 2023-24 season. Sources tell ESPN.
That's no surprise.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced he's on this team next year. They could use him in a trade. That's a very manageable contract. But that was paperwork. They weren't going to let him. They weren't going to cut him loose.
Yeah. I mean, they don't got nobody else. I mean,
Well, are we gonna get right into the topic, Earl? Because if it does, this leads into one of the graphics.
Yeah. So our next topic on the Cavs, and it kind of goes with this here. You know, we all know what the Cavs' issues are, but which issue to you three rank higher in priority, being the roster construction, the coaching, or simply just the youth of some of the players and the development of some of the players?
Well, I know Jason's going to go off on this one. So, Jason, do you want to start or do you want to
go ahead.
Clean up here?
You go first.
All right, well, I'll go first. We'll go down the line this way then. I think it's fair to criticize J.B. Bickerstaff. I think it's fair to say this team had no playoff experience last year. But I think this roster, top to bottom, is extremely flawed. I have two main rules in basketball. There's a lot of little ones, but two main ones I'll live and die by. One, wings win rings, and two, you can't win if you can't shoot. Let's look at this Cleveland Cavaliers roster for a sec. To my fellows to the right, how would you grade the Cavs' cluster of wing players?
cluster.
D-.
They don't have any F.
Would you say this team can shoot?
No.
Judge, case closed.
Yeah.
But in totality, they have the stars. They drafted Mobley. They traded for Donovan Mitchell. They drafted and re-signed Darius Garland. Jared Allen fits in that role. He's an all-star. I don't think he's an elite caliber player, but he's certainly good. They've done the hard part, and I'm going to steal Jason's line. I know he's probably going to touch on this again, but it's the other parts of the roster that they have, in my opinion, catastrophically failed to fill out to maximize the talent at the top. You can't go into a season again with guys on the wing, especially in the 3 and 4 position or 2 and 3 position, whatever you want to call those wings, who can't shoot consistently. They need guys to space the floor to maximize the talents of their two bigs, who neither has shown a propensity to make jump shots outside of the paint, and their two guards, who are elite at creating off a pick and roll. Defensively, yeah, it worked in the regular season, but they weren't tough enough in the postseason. They didn't have a dog. That comes to your general manager, to your front office, to find guys to fill those side roles on this roster, to give this team a little toughness, a little grit, and even veteran leadership. I give Kobe Altman and the front office credit for trying to get Danny Green. It didn't work out as they planned because he didn't turn out to be the player that they thought he could be with the rest of the season moving forward. And we look at these numbers. Offensively, they were efficient because they didn't shoot a lot of threes. In today's day and age, you wouldn't die by the three. This Cavs team was built to play basketball in like 2004. Newsflash, that was 2 decades ago. This roster is not currently constructed to win in today's era of NBA basketball. And for that, if there was all the issues in the Cavs, and I do think it's fair to criticize other facets, the poor roster construction, in my opinion, is their biggest flaw. Last year, and without some major changes, will be their biggest flaw heading into next season. G?
As much as I would like to come on here and give you something different, and give you another perspective, a different angle, I would love to do that. I would love to say, you know what, McNuggets, it's the coaching or it's just the overall youthful exuberance of the roster. No, I can't. You hit on a lot of things. One thing when you talk about the roster, I look at some of the guys that they got. Not only do they not have small forward depth, they don't even have a small forward, not one. If you look at that the Cavs wing players right there, Karis LeVert is not a wing. Karis LeVert is a 2-guard. Isaac Okoro is a non-shooting 2-guard. Cedi can technically classify as that. Lamar Stevenson is not a wing. Like, these guys have skill sets of power forwards. These guys got skill sets of 1992 power forwards. Like, they play like Xavier McDaniel and Terry Cummings and Buck Williams. These dudes can't shoot outside the paint. Lamar Stevenson is not scared of nobody on the playground, on double rims. He's not. If he's at the Y, we like self-checked, let Lamar pull up. Listen, the fact that Isaac Okoro is a 6'3" power forward cracks me up. He's not even P.J. Tucker. At least P.J. Tucker going to be a 6'3" power forward who's going to be gritty. He's going to get offensive rebounds. And I love Isaac Okoro. He's like the nicest guy in the world. I like him. He's cool. He's a great locker room guy. But the reality of the situation is we've been closing our eyes trying to make him be a 3 for the longest time and since he got here. And it just doesn't work. You take a look at what he's been bringing to the table. You take a look at the size. And not only the size, look at the length. You got Garland, smallish. Donovan Mitchell, smallish. Then you're putting Okoro in, and Okoro was 6'5". So look at and you're going against these other teams, and I'm looking at the lineups. I'm like, that just puts so much stress on you defensively, and then not to mention offensively when you're playing with two bigs. The roster is constructed with odds and end parts, and I just don't see where the thought process was in trying to get these guys to fit and mold into a cohesive unit. Jason?
Yeah, I have to agree on the personnel, and it's to me it's roster construction. I said it all throughout the playoffs: shooting. You got to have shooting. Elite defense is not as important as shooting. You can win with average to even subpar defense if you have elite shooting. It's a lot easier to win that way than it is with elite defense and subpar shooting. And the Cavs just don't have any shooters that scare you. And that's the biggest issue going into free agency, and that's the biggest need to address. They have got to find more shooting. And I've given them a lot of credit on this show and elsewhere for their ability to find guys like Dean Wade and Lamar Stevens. They've been scrap heap finds that they've developed into useful pieces. And Dean Wade should be a good shooter. He wasn't last year, whether it was the shoulder or the mental after Kevin left. He fell apart when they moved on from Kevin. So you hope that maybe that's a guy who can sort of refine his shooting form. But they have to go out and they've got to get others. And while they've done a nice job of developing some guys, they've missed on the wings. Like Austin Reeves, Max Strus. These are guys who were trash heap guys who other teams found, discovered, and turned into really useful pieces who are now going to get paid. And now it's too late for where the Cavs are at, because you can't take an undrafted guy now, or even an Amani Bates, who we talked about the other day. It takes 3 years minimum for those guys really to be useful on a useful rotation piece on a team trying to win a championship. Well, the Cavs are in that window now. As soon as they made the trade for Donovan, they became a team trying to win a championship. So where do you go? We can have that conversation probably here maybe today or tomorrow. I've been high on Dante DiVincenzo. I've kind of cooled on that a little bit. I was kind of poking around. I think Max Strus is probably the best option for them in free agency. He's probably going to be more than the mid-level. That's where a contract like Cedi could come in useful, and a sign-and-trade type thing. If you have to overpay over the mid-level, then it becomes a sign-and-trade issue, and they don't have a ton of useful pieces to pull something off, but that's where they have to get creative. The problem with being capped at the mid-level is there's a lot of teams that have the mid-level. So now you have to sell yourself to free agents on what else can you give them. They clearly have a hole at the 3, clearly, but they just have to find more shooting, regardless of where that comes from. And if you look at the list of teams that won championships, because that's what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to win a championship. Go back over the last 10, 15 years and look at the starting small forwards on all of those championship teams. It's guys like LeBron, Kevin Durant, Giannis. The only exception where it's not a transcendent superstar type player is really this last year with Michael Porter Jr., a really good player, but not obviously in the class we've talked about before. Andrew Wiggins on the Warriors last year, a really good player, but not on that list that we're talking about.
And he did play phenomenal in the playoffs last
year.
He upped his game to another level.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Harrison Barnes back in the day with the Warriors. But what did those teams have? They had unbelievable shooting and transcendent players, and Nikola Jokic.
That plays small forward, power forward, and point guard.
Right. And the Warriors obviously with the best shooting backcourt in the history of the game. Yeah. So the Cavs don't have that. Like, they have really nice pieces. Their backcourt is terrific. But let's be honest, Darius and Donovan are not on the level of prime Steph and prime Clay.
It's like you say, if you don't have a good 3, you can win with a top 20 player of all time.
Right.
Not a top 20 player in today's NBA.
Right.
Like top 20 all time. And that's where Steph, Jokic, and those guys fall
That's
into.
exactly it.
Donovan Mitchell, All-NBA second team. Obviously a very, very good player, an all-star. He should make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more All-NBA teams in his career. But I don't think anyone's going to come up here and argue that he's a top 5, 6, 7 guy in the NBA.
Earl, do you want to make that argument?
No, I'm not. But I got a question for you, Jason.
Go ahead, buddy.
So you've educated me on how important the wing position is in the NBA, and I think that's something that all coaches, all general managers, all scouts know. And I feel like now, just listening to you all debate this topic, why make the trade for Donovan Mitchell if you know you need an impact wing? Do you think Cedi Osman actually explored trying to get a wing player first, or was it all about just trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell?
Well, they tried getting a wing on the Nance deal, and there was no wing to go get. So they traded for Lauri Markkanen, and they made him into a wing.
But that I'm looking at it, Jason. Like they had Lauri Markkanen was a wing.
Well, I mean, Markkanen's a good player. Donovan Mitchell's better.
Yes.
And you know, why do you go after Donovan? Well, players of his caliber don't come along very often, although I think we're going to start to see it more and more over these next couple of summers. But at the time, you don't know. So Donovan fit perfectly age-wise with this nucleus. He filled a need, a scorer shooter. Like he is that, and that's what they needed. And he's certainly an upgrade over Colin Sexton, 100%. So I get why they made the move. And was it a year early? Maybe, but you can't predict when these guys are going to become available. So you got to go when they're there to be had. Would you rather have Donovan Mitchell last summer or Bradley Beal this summer? I'll take Donovan Mitchell over Bradley Beal.
Do you believe, I'm asking both of y'all, do you believe, what would the Cavs record be if they would have just kept Colin Sexton, Abaji, and Lauri Markkanen?
So this is the criticism. This is the fair criticism of the Donovan trade of, hey, we could have gone to the playoffs and lost in the first round with what we had. Like, that's fair. Would they have won 51?
51
Would they have won 51 games? Probably not.
Maybe 40,
Do you win 43, 44, you're a lower seed, and you get bounced in the first round, and then you don't have nearly the vitriol from fans that they felt this offseason, but it's because you pushed all in on that move and still won one playoff game and lost in the first round. That's where it's fair for people to say, well, hell, we could have done that with Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. So what'd you do that for? Now, obviously, you have more in mind than 1 year, but that's where I think a lot of the hostility comes from. And I think that part of it is a fair criticism.
And Earl, one thing on the wings. Wings are like gold in the NBA. Like, really good wings just don't get traded. It's happened. Paul George has moved. Kawhi got traded. But look at the returns that those guys have brought back. Now, Mitchell brought back a significant haul in his own right. Like, that's not to discriminate what the Cavs got from Mitchell for anyone else. But when you say they should have went shopping for a wing, really good young wings on relatively team-friendly deals just aren't.
It's
kind of
like saying the Browns should have gone shopping for a franchise quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, like every team's out there shopping
in the third round.
Yeah.
Right?
So, no, I guess what I'm saying is, did he kick the tires on that first before he went about shopping for Donovan Mitchell?
They've tried since LeBron left.
And
Now, here's the thing. Would you rather – they could have got Scotty Barnes. They could have drafted Scotty Barnes, third overall, instead of Evan Mobley. Would you rather have Scotty Barnes than Evan Mobley?
No.
I wouldn't. I'd rather have Evan Mobley. I know Barnes won Rookie of the Year.
No.
But that's why the Raptors took him that high. He's a nice player.
Yeah, he's nice, but he's not.
But
not
it's
moving.
the importance of the position is why Scotty Barnes went as high as what he did over some of the other guys. I'd rather have Evan Mobley, and that's where, they've tried. They've tried every offseason to upgrade this spot. I think that they've missed. On the Struces and the Austin Reeves, and it's so hard to find those guys. It's hard to kill them. Why didn't you find Austin Reeves? But those guys are out there to be had, and they have developed Dean Wade, and they have developed Lamar Stevens, and they have made them useful pieces. But when it comes to win, it's a difference in the regular season and the postseason. You can win with Isaac Okoro at the 3 in the regular season. You're not going to win with Isaac Okoro at the 3 in the postseason, and that's where this is. That's the next step in this evolution.
I'll give him credit. That's why when people are saying, why are you so high on the Imani Bates pick? And I'm like, because he's 6'9", he can shoot, he can create, he hits tough shots. When I watch playoff games, I see people hitting tough shot after tough shot after tough. Like, defense don't really, like you said something I totally agree with. Like in the playoffs, defense don't really matter. Like, it does. You can't be atrocious. You can't be bottom 2. But, like, in playoffs, it's about shot making. These dudes is pulling up and not missing. Like, they got shot hands and closeouts, and it don't matter.
Well, and part of the defense thing is it's effort. And the reason elite defense in the regular season doesn't translate to the postseason is 97. Is that too high? Maybe 90% of the time during the regular season, the other team's barely playing defense.
Guys
they just don't try. And You can say that's not true. I'm telling you.
Oh.
I'm telling you,
And
it
you
is true.
can't
They
game plan
don't
for
try.
night to night. You can't game plan for guys either.
Yeah, exactly, because it's such a quick turnaround. In the postseason, teams step up their defensive intensity because they know, hey, we're out if we lose.
Yep.
And everyone's defense improves, which is where difficult shot making, to your point, with Amani Bates. And he reminds me a lot of Michael Porter Jr., especially early in his career, where it took Porter Jr. overcoming some
Did you
injuries.
just compare Amani Bates to Michael Porter Jr.?
Their style of play, where all he does is catch the balls, take step back threes.
Listen.
That's what I'm saying. You watch enough, he reminds me of Michael Porter Jr.
Worst take of the year.
Hey,
I'm not saying
Jason,
he's
get off
turning
my
into
back
Michael
now.
Porter Jr. I'm just saying that's who his game reminds me of.
Hey, listen. Here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna tell
Gee,
everybody.
you're going to get your heart broke by Amani Bates.
Nah,
You're going to get your heart broke.
no.
Yeah,
Listen,
you are.
See, here's the thing. I'm looking at it not even from an emotional standpoint. I'm looking at it from like this. If the Cleveland Cavaliers can develop Dean Wade, and Dean Wade don't have the natural physical talent that he has, why can I not believe that if Lamar Stevens can make it, he can't make it?
We'll do a deep dive on Amani
And
Bates.
all
We'll do
Lamar-
a deep dive. We'll do the deep dive. Don't worry, it's coming.
We'll
We're gonna
get
have
to it. Jason, we're going to come back and visit this. Middle of the season, now he might be with the charge.
No, he's going to start.
He might
the
be in
season.
Poland.
But at the end of the day, we're going to take a look at these stats in the middle of the year. Now, listen, JB don't be hating either. He going to take 7 to 10 bad shots in Summer League. It's cool. Let the man pull up.
This is what I'll tell you about Amani. I've talked to probably people from maybe 4 or 5 teams now. No one has said anything good about Amani Bates. There's a reason he was there at 49.
Hey, listen.
And I'm not killing him for the pick. Like, I get the upside. I get why they tried it. If you have expectations for him to come in and help this team win this year, you're going to get your heart broke.
If Max Strus.
It took Max Strus 4 years.
That's what I'm saying.
But this is the thing. You got to expect, this is the thought process. At some point, we talked about development. If the Cavs want to get to a point where they're respected around the league and they don't have money, they don't have cap space, they have to take a look at these dudes seriously. Not like, oh, we're taking flyers. No. You have to look at it seriously. You're not going to get the best, the cream of the crop. You're not getting the B prospects. You're not getting none of them free agents. So you can sit here and be like, oh, he's not going to do anything. But you got to realize you got to work with what you got, Cleveland. Ain't nobody coming through them doors and be like, yo, I'm here to save you. At least you got to do that. You would have, if it was 3 years ago, if you would have said, the Cavs are going to draft this guy, and he was a #1 prospect in the country, you say, get out of here. He'll no longer be here. So, yeah, he fell off in 3 years, but guess what? There's opportunity. Where somebody else fails, it's your opportunity.
I'm going to say something nutty, but if Dean Wade can go back to the Dean Wade of the first half of the season, the guy that they signed the contract to thinking they were going to get, it will go a long way in helping a lot of the issues that we're talking about because he can shoot. He's a big who can shoot. And you're not asking him to start and give you 38 minutes a night. You're asking him to give you 20, 22 minutes a night, grab a few rebounds, hit a couple threes. That's it.
Yeah.
And that will make a lot of this other stuff. If Karis LeVert is wildly inconsistent, but he is what he is, you have to sign him.
We're going to talk about that in 1 sec.
All right, then I'll table that. Karis LeVert, if you can find a shooter with the mid-level or in a sign and trade, and if Dean Wade returns the player that you thought you were signing that contract, it's going to look a little bit better than it does right now.
Oh, we got the poll results here?
No, we're going to actually do that at the end of the first hour.
Gotcha.
But before we talk about Karis LeVert, I'm going to say this about Imani Bates, and I promise you I'm going to leave it alone. I hope he hears the noise. I hope he hears the fact that nobody has anything good to say about him, that nobody really believes that he's going to have a significant impact on the Cleveland Cavaliers long term. I hope this dude finds deep within himself that extra to just basically silence the haters. And that's what I'm looking for. Like I told you all the other day, you can't measure heart and you can't measure that chip on your shoulder. I don't care what scouting report you put out there, man. When people constantly talk down on you, talk down on your name, that'll piss you off enough to go be great. That's all I'm saying.
We're going to find out because he's going to be in the Summer League in,
we going to see.
9 days? Summer League tip-off. So we'll see what Amani Bates
By the way,
got.
I like that.